Joining me now is Sharon Noble. And Sharon, what organization? Okay, we're here in support already. What organization are you here representing
Coalition
today?
to Stop Smart Meters.
Okay, and you to St.Clair, you're no stranger to RoadKill Radio. You represent
Citizens for Safe Technology Society.
And today we have an amazing turnout. I certainly got notice about your rally. You have people out here participating, making their voices heard. But you have a lot more on the plan, if you will, for Rich Coleman. Now, your organizations view him as the end-all be-all voice in holding him accountable for what's going on in this province. And something I'm not sure, having read the research, that I would want to be accountable for. Tell me, what are in your plans for the future for Mr. Coleman?
Well, the truth is that he is stating that this radio frequency exposure is safe, and that is something that he has to be held accountable for.
Well, and I've heard, well, actually differing opinions. Mr. Coleman suggests that there's only 4 little bursts out of the smart meters per day. One of his representatives at a meeting I was at recently suggested there were 3. What is the truth here?
Well, the truth is that those little bursts they're talking about, that's the meter read data. So that's just sending the information. What they don't talk about are the thousands, up to 200,000 signals on court documents we've been able to access from the US for the same Itron meter. So up to 200,000 signals per 24-hour period, and they never talk about that. This is the mesh management signals and the synchronization signals. And so what the public is only told about are the tiny little data.
And that's not even counting the signals from the collectors. The collectors are other transmitters that are going to be signaling back to the smart meters.
Okay, so let's just assume that Mr. Coleman is doing his due diligence, that public health and safety are his priority. We'll give him credit for that. I've read a letter that's being distributed here, and I find it very interesting to see what the minister will do with it. And in essence, what you're doing is basically saying, Mr. Coleman, and you have well over hundreds of these signatures. What you're saying is, Mr. Coleman, if you really believe what you're saying and you've done your due diligence, then you won't have any problem signing away your immunity from personal prosecution if somebody gets sick as a result of having a smart meter technology in their midst.
That's right. Absolutely. We expect him to stand tall, and if he truly believes this is safe, he should have no problem stating that it's safe, and his integrity is on the line here.
Well, and you're asking him to sign this, saying that he won't rely on what the government officers usually tend to get, and that's immunity and indemnification from liability.
He should be held legally responsible.
And he shouldn't have a problem with that, should he?
He has a responsibility in his position as energy minister to watch and safeguard for the public health. And he's not, and he should be held liable for it.
Well, if he doesn't sign it, we know there's a problem.
I think that proof is going to be in his signature, isn't it?
That's right.
What would be very interesting is to have a similar form sent to Dr. Barry Kendall, because he's the medical officer who's telling Rich Coleman that everything is safe. The two of them together should be held accountable.
And I suspect those letters will probably be off real soon from your two ladies'
I
desks.
suspect they probably will.
Okay, now the rally here, a lot of support. There's people here from Salt Spring Island. There's people here from Hope. Is there more events planned in the future? We have an election coming up. I suspect, knowing what I have found out, thanks to your organizations about the smart meters, and thankfully I don't have a smart meter yet installed at my home. It's secure behind a wire cage with lots of locks and no trespassing and don't touch me and no really means no signs. But what can people do at this point? What can people do who've already had a smart meter installed against their will?
What they should be doing first is keeping a diary. They should be keeping a diary of anything that's unusual in their health. The meters are not radiating yet, but they are transmitting dirty electricity on their household wires. So they should be keeping a diary of anything, whether it's headaches, whether it's palpitations, anything at all. They should also be keeping track of anything that's happening in their house that's unusual with regard to electricity, flickering lights or appliances malfunctioning, because there have been some serious problems reported with wires overheating and causing fires and things like this. And as well, they should be keeping track of their bills. But more than anything, they should be writing to their MLAs. They should be demanding that their MLAs do something. If their MLAs want to keep their job next year, they better get off their behind and start doing something. help these people.
And they should also be spreading the word. They should be giving information to their friends, to their email contacts, to the moms that they meet when they take their kids to school. This is an issue that affects everybody, and kids and the elderly are very vulnerable to what's going on
well,
here.
we do see the independent scientists that are not beholden to industry. They're not getting funded by industry. They are speaking very strongly against the smart meter program and the wholesale exposure of all living things, especially children, because they're much more vulnerable. But we do suggest that if people have a smart meter and they want it removed, there is a removal letter that they can get a template, document it. This is a legal situation. They can go to civil court with this. We have got a legal case ready to go, and so we're willing to point people in the right direction who want to take it further.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the government scrutiny over this. Certainly there was some scrutiny. Did let's not go up before the Utilities Commission? I mean, some of these government bodies that, you know, we don't have 100% confidence, but certainly it gives an opportunity to vet some of the research and know what research the government's making decisions on. What happened to that process?
From what we know, there's been no oversight or scrutiny. The BC Utilities Commission was written out under the Clean Energy Act. That's the body that normally looks after the public safeguard and looks at costs, does the due diligence, forces due diligence. But it was written out. The government didn't want Hydro to have this oversight.
And I guess our health and safety, well-being, you know, takes a second seat to what government wants.
Well, the other thing I think that is important to note is that this smart meter program was planned long before the World Health Organization reclassification in May of 2011. So the fact that these radio frequency emissions, which are absolutely coming out of the smart meter, they have been designated as a possible human cancer risk. Well, that was like a surprise for BC Hydro, for BC Liberals. They've already put a lot of money in it, and it's like saying, oh, let's just ignore this, let's just keep going, and hopefully nobody will notice that this is now a designated cancer risk, the same as DDT, the same as dioxane, the same as HIV virus. Let's just force it on the people, and we'll just pretend that it's all safe. And so it is a pretense, it's not real, it's not backed up by science. The science is there. This is a risk.
So if we lie enough, the people will believe it.
If we keep lying.
And keep lying. And the thing is, last May when it was classified as a TD, they could have broken their contracts. They could have gotten out of the contracts then because the technology, it's been proven to be dangerous. And they didn't. When I raised this issue with Perry Kendall, what was his response? I don't agree with the World Health Organization.
Oh.
Yes, and he's the one who's recommending all of this. So there's no one looking out for us.
Okay, so this letter that's going to be delivered to Mr. Coleman cites expert reports, a number of them I'm familiar with. A recent one by Dr. David Carpenter, just dealing with the Hydro-Quebec issue. Excellent report that talks and basically says don't do this. The unknowns here are too many as far as what's going to be happening to public health.
And there are no benefits. There's no benefit to justify the risk that they're trying to put us in.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and great turnout. The sun is shining, how appropriate for you, and good work, ladies.